Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures, where humanity always rises. The alien battle council gathered above the gray star of Velair Prime, watching a silent stretch of space, where nothing important ever happened. The council chamber floated inside a massive command station, filled with glowing screens and calm voices. For them, this patrol was routine. Humanity had been pushed back years ago. Their fleets were small, their reach limited, and their threats empty. Or so the galaxy believed. Then a single signal appeared on the long-range sensors, quiet but clear, moving toward the Velair system at steady speed. The officer at the sensor station adjusted his eyes and spoke slowly. One vessel detected. Terran design. The chamber reacted with soft laughter. One ship. Not a fleet. Not even an escort. Just one human vessel crossing a guarded system controlled by the strongest alliance in that sector. The council leader leaned forward, amused. Confirm, class. The officer paused. Unknown at first scan. Hull mass is heavier than expected. That only made the laughter louder. Heavy hulls meant nothing without numbers. The galaxy had learned that lesson long ago. Humanity had tried to stand alone once. It had failed. The council leader waved a hand. Broadcast a warning. Tell them to turn back. Far away, the Terran battleship continued forward. Its hull was dark steel, smooth and silent, marked only by a small Terran symbol near the bow. No lights flashed. No weapons charged. It moved like it had all the time in the universe. Inside the ship, the bridge crew sat calmly at their stations. No shouting. No panic. The captain stood with his hands behind his back, eyes fixed on the main display. He did not speak. He did not need to. The warning message reached the ship. A clear alien voice filled the bridge, cold and confident, ordering the Terran vessel to retreat or be destroyed. The human crew listened without reaction. The captain finally spoke, his voice low and steady. Maintain course. Back at the alien command station, the council waited. Seconds passed. The Terran ship did not slow. It did not turn. It kept coming. The council leader frowned. They ignore us. Another council member sneered. Arrogance. Humans always mistake bravery for strength. Weapons officers prepared target locks. The alien fleet surrounding the system was vast, dozens of cruisers and carriers drifting in perfect formation. Against them, the Terran ship looked small, almost lonely. The officer read the updated scan. Ship designation received. Hurricane-Class Terran Battleship. The name caused a short pause, then more laughter. Names were meaningless. Every species liked dramatic words. Storms. Fire. Wrath. None of it changed reality. The council leader leaned back. A hurricane does not survive in vacuum. The Terran ship entered weapons range. Still no response. No shields flared. No engines burned brighter. It was as if the ship did not even notice the fleet around it. The alien commander gave the order. Fire a warning shot. A bright energy beam tore through space and struck the Terran battleship's forward armor. The beam faded. Smoke did not follow. Explosions did not bloom. The ship did not even slow. Sensors confirmed the result. 0 damage. The laughter stopped. Officers checked their screens again, convinced there was an error. Armor readings showed only minor heat absorption. No breach. No power loss. The council leader's eyes narrowed. Fire again. Stronger. Multiple weapons discharged at once, slamming into the Terran hull. Light filled the void. For a brief moment, the alien fleet believed the threat was gone. Then the light cleared. The Hurricane-Class battleship remained, untouched, moving forward with the same calm speed as before. Silence filled the chamber. One officer whispered, "That armor, it is not reactive. It is layered." Another added, fear entering his voice, "And it is still charging something." Inside the Terran ship, status lights remained green. The captain watched the alien fire with mild interest, like rain hitting stone. He turned slightly. "Charge level." 70%. The weapons officer replied calmly. The captain nodded. Good. The alien council felt something new then. Not fear yet. Confusion. How could one ship ignore such fire? How could humans afford to build something like this? Humanity was supposed to be weak, divided, struggling. That was the story the galaxy told itself. Stories were comfortable. Reality was not. The council leader straightened. All ships full fire. Destroy it. The fleet obeyed. Space burned with energy as every available weapon focused on the Hurricane-Class Battleship. The attack was overwhelming, enough to shatter moons. The alien officers waited for confirmation of destruction. Seconds passed. Then more seconds. The sensors spoke again. Target still intact. Murmurs turned into panic. Shields were failing across the alien fleet, not from damage, but from power drain caused by their own weapons. The Terran ship continued to advance, now close enough for visual detail. Its hull was marked with deep grooves and strange patterns, designed not for beauty, but for survival. The council leader finally understood the mistake. Why would humans send one ship? He asked quietly. Because they did not need more. On the Terran bridge, a soft tone sounded. Weapon system charged. Ready. The captain looked at the alien fleet, filling the display. He spoke one calm sentence, transmitted across open channels for all to hear. You chose to test us. The Hurricane-Class Battleship powered up its main system. Space around it began to bend, light warping as energy gathered. Alien sensors screamed warnings too late, and for the first time in that system, the galaxy stopped laughing. The space around the Hurricane-Class Battleship twisted as power gathered, bending light and sound in ways the alien sensors could barely understand. Warning alarms filled the alien command station, sharp and endless. Officers shouted readings, each one worse than the last. Energy levels around the Terran ship were rising far beyond standard weapon limits. The council leader stared at the display, his confidence cracking. This was no normal battleship. This was something built with purpose, and that purpose was now waking up. Alien fleets tried to adjust formation, pulling back slightly, spreading out to reduce damage. It was a move born from training, not courage. They still believed numbers would save them. Hundreds of guns pointed at one ship. Logic said the humans should already be gone. Logic had failed. Inside the Terran battleship, the bridge remained quiet. Crew members spoke only when needed, their voices steady. Screens showed enemy movements, firing patterns, and weak points. The ship's systems tracked everything without effort. The captain stood still, watching the alien fleet shift like nervous prey. He did not smile. This was not pleasure. This was duty. Alien commanders sent another message, this time louder, less proud. They demanded the Terran ship power down and submit to inspection. The words were sharp, but fear leaked through the tone. The message ended with a threat of total destruction. No one on the Terran bridge reacted. The captain let the silence answer for him. The alien council argued among themselves. Some demanded retreat. Others demanded full attack. Pride fought survival. In the end, pride spoke louder. The council leader slammed a claw against the console. Humans bluff. They always do. Fire again. All forward weapons. The fleet obeyed. Energy beams, missiles, and plasma waves struck the Hurricane-class from every angle. Space turned white with force. Smaller ships pulled back to avoid the blast radius, confident that nothing could survive such punishment. When the fire faded, the alien sensors scanned again. The result felt impossible. Minimal damage. The Terran ship's shields had not even fully activated. Most of the fire had been absorbed by the hull itself, spread across layered armor designed to drink heat and force. Some weapons had been pulled off course, bent by gravity fields the aliens did not know humans could control. Fear finally entered the room. Not panic yet, but the sharp edge of it. Officers began speaking faster. Hands shook. One sensor officer whispered, "They are not defending. They are waiting." The Hurricane-class moved closer. Its engines burned brighter now, not in panic, but in purpose. Each second brought it deeper into the heart of the alien formation. The ship's presence pressed down on the fleet like a weight. Communication signals flickered. Target locks failed. The alien systems were being watched, measured, and quietly broken. On the Terran bridge, the weapons officer reported. Enemy fire patterns mapped. Countermeasures complete. The captain nodded. Hold. This calm confused the aliens more than any weapon. Why wait? Why not strike? The answer came slowly and painfully. Humans were not afraid. They had already decided how this would end. An alien cruiser broke formation, trying to retreat toward the edge of the system. Its engines flared, pushing hard. Before it could escape, the Hurricane-class shifted slightly. A focused energy pulse reached out, not explosive, but precise. The cruiser's engines died instantly. The ship drifted, silent and helpless. The alien fleet froze. One move, one small response, and a warship was neutralized without effort. The council leader felt his authority slipping away. All ships, maintain position, he ordered, though his voice lacked strength. He looked at the Terran ship on the display, now close enough to see surface markings. Strange symbols ran along the hull, human warnings and names written in simple lines. This ship was not hiding. It was showing itself. Inside the Hurricane-class, the captain turned to his communications officer. Open wide channel. The channel opened, broadcasting to every ship in the system. The captain spoke calmly, his voice clear and human. We warned you once, long ago. You did not listen. Today is not an attack. It is a lesson. The words echoed through alien command stations and cockpits. Some officers felt anger. Others felt relief. At least now they understood. This ship was not here to negotiate. It was here to demonstrate. The Alien Council tried one last move. They ordered a coordinated strike aimed at the Terran ship's engines, hoping to cripple it. Dozens of ships fired at once. The Hurricane-class responded for the first time with active defense. Invisible fields flared. Missiles vanished. Beams bent away. Some weapons turned back toward their owners, disabled before impact. The alien fleet began to break. Formation collapsed. Ships moved without orders, driven by fear. Command channels filled with shouting. The council leader watched control slip through his claws. The galaxy's image of humanity was collapsing with it. On the Terran bridge, a soft chime sounded again. Main system stabilized. Awaiting final command, the weapons officer said. The captain took a slow breath. He looked at the enemy fleet, scattered and afraid. They are ready, he said quietly. Outside, space itself seemed to hold still. The Hurricane-class battleship completed its charge, power flowing like a storm held behind walls. Alien sensors screamed their final warnings. The humans were still calm, and the aliens finally understood that calm was the most dangerous weapon of all. The Hurricane-class battleship finished its charge in complete silence, the kind that made even hardened alien commanders uneasy. Sensors across the alien fleet screamed warnings they could not fully translate. Power readings spiked, then stabilized at levels no known weapon system should reach. Space around the Terran ship looked wrong, like a mirror bending under pressure. The Alien Council leader stared at the display, unable to speak. He finally understood that this moment would be remembered long after the battle ended. The alien fleet tried to recover discipline. Orders were shouted. Ships attempted to regroup, forming new lines, locking weapons again. It was too late. Fear had already spread. Pilots hesitated. Weapons officers delayed by seconds. In war, seconds decided everything. Inside the Hurricane-class, the bridge lights remained steady. The crew did not cheer. They did not rush. Every movement was slow and controlled. The captain stood tall, his face calm, his eyes focused on the enemy fleet. This was not revenge. This was correction. He raised one hand slightly. Single strike, he said. The weapons officer confirmed the command. Target. The captain did not hesitate. Enemy flagship. Across the alien fleet, the flagship was a symbol of power, larger than the others, covered in layered shields and heavy weapons. It was meant to lead, to inspire fear. It was meant to be untouchable. The Hurricane-class locked onto it without effort. The first shot fired without sound. There was no bright flash, no violent recoil. A thin line of distorted space reached out from the Terran ship and touched the alien flagship. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the flagship's shields collapsed like paper. Its systems went dark. Weapons shut down. Engines died. The massive ship drifted, silent and powerless, still intact but completely defeated. Shock froze the alien fleet. The flagship had not exploded. It had been erased from the fight with one controlled strike. No debris. No warning. Just silence. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Officers shouted over each other, demanding explanations. Engineers reported impossible readings. The flagship's crew was alive but helpless, trapped in a dead ship. The council leader felt cold. This was worse than destruction. This was humiliation. The Hurricane-Class did not press the attack. It held position, its weapons cooling, its power steady. The message was clear. That was only one shot. Some alien ships opened fire again in panic, their crews acting without orders. Their attacks scattered across space, unfocused and weak. The Terran ship ignored them. It did not need to respond. The balance of power had already shifted. Inside the Terran battleship, the crew monitored the results. The weapons officer spoke quietly. Target neutralized. The captain nodded. Good. He turned to the navigation display, watching the alien fleet struggle to hold together. They still think this is a fight, he said. They will learn. The alien council attempted to regain control. A new message was sent, this time pleading rather than commanding. They demanded to know what the Terran ship wanted. Trade. Territory. Surrender. Anything. The channel remained open, unanswered. The Hurricane-Class moved forward again, slow and steady, passing through the broken formation of the alien fleet. Ships pulled away to avoid contact, their crews staring at the dark steel hull as it passed. Up close, they could see scars and marks on the armor, signs of past battles. This ship had fought before. It had survived. Alien pilots reported strange effects as the Terran ship passed. Systems lagged. Sensors flickered. Power levels dropped. The Hurricane-Class was not attacking them, yet their ships felt weak in its presence, like animals near a larger predator. On the Terran bridge, the captain watched the flagship drift helplessly. He felt no satisfaction, only confirmation. Open limited channel, he ordered. The channel opened, connecting only to the alien flagship. The captain's voice was calm, almost gentle. You are alive because we chose restraint. Do not mistake that for mercy. The alien flagship's commander did not respond. He could not. He had no power, no weapons, no control. He could only listen. The Terran ship cut the channel and continued forward. Alien fleets began to withdraw, some slowly, some in panic. Hyperspace drives charged wherever possible. Order collapsed. Survival replaced pride. The council leader watched ship after ship retreat. He knew what this meant for the galaxy. News would spread. Records would be copied. Stories would be told. Humanity was not weak. Humanity had simply been patient. Suddenly, alien sensors detected something worse. The Hurricane-Class was not done. New energy patterns formed along its hull, different from the first weapon. Deeper. Broader. The system was changing modes. Inside the Terran battleship, the weapons officer reported. Secondary system online. The captain looked at the shrinking alien fleet. They need to understand fully, he said. The Hurricane-Class released a wave of energy that did not target ships directly. Instead, it washed across space itself. Communication arrays across the alien fleet shut down. Navigation systems failed. Weapons went offline. Entire squadrons drifted, blind and deaf. Panic exploded. Ships collided. Crews screamed. Commands went unheard. The alien fleet, once proud and organized, became a cloud of broken metal and fear. The Terran ship remained untouched at the center of it all, a calm eye in a storm it controlled. The captain watched the chaos with steady eyes. Record everything, he ordered. The galaxy will see this. As the Hurricane-Class powered down its weapons, alien sensors finally understood the truth. This ship was not designed to win battles. It was designed to end them. And with a single shot, the galaxy's understanding of humanity had been permanently changed. Long before the Hurricane-Class battleship entered the Velair system, before alien fleets panicked and councils shouted in fear, humanity had already learned its lesson. The galaxy had not welcomed humans when they first reached the stars. It had tested them, used them, and then betrayed them. Trade routes were closed without warning. Colonies were raided under false treaties. Human ships were destroyed in the name of balance. Every time humanity protested, the galaxy laughed and called them emotional and weak. Humans remembered everything. In a quiet Terran shipyard far from crowded systems, the idea of the Hurricane-Class was born. It was not announced to the galaxy. There were no speeches, no threats, no shows of force. Humans had learned that loud warnings were ignored. Strength, when shown too early, invited attack. So they worked in silence. The design councils did not argue about beauty or size. They asked one simple question: what would make the galaxy stop attacking without starting endless wars? The answer was not a fleet. Fleets could be challenged, matched, and worn down. The answer was a ship that made resistance feel pointless. A ship that could stand alone and still win. Engineers studied every alien weapon ever used against humans. Energy beams, kinetic strikes, gravity weapons, mind-disrupting signals. They did not try to block them one by one. They designed armor that accepted damage and spread it harmlessly. Layers within layers, each one built to fail safely and protect the next. The hull of the Hurricane-Class was not just metal. It was a system, alive with sensors and fields, constantly adjusting. Weapons came later. Humans did not want weapons that destroyed everything, that created enemies and ruins. They wanted control. Weapons that could disable fleets, silence systems, and end battles without burning worlds. Precision mattered more than power, but power was still there, waiting. The galaxy never saw the tests. Entire dead systems were used, far from trade lanes. When the first prototype fired its main system, space itself bent and screamed. Human scientists watched in silence, not in fear, but respect. They knew then that this ship would change everything. The Hurricane-Class was never meant to be common. Humans did not plan to flood the stars with them. That would look like conquest. Instead, each ship was built slowly, carefully, and crewed by officers chosen for one trait above all others: calm. A Hurricane-Class captain was not selected for aggression or pride. He was chosen for restraint. Back in the present, as the alien fleet drifted broken and blind, fragments of this history began to surface through intercepted human records and emergency broadcasts. Alien analysts struggled to understand what they were seeing. Humanity had not built a response force. They had built a lesson. On the Terran Battleship, the captain allowed himself a moment of memory. He remembered the training halls, the quiet voices, the words repeated again and again. Do not threaten. Do not rush. Let them choose. He had not fired the first shot. The aliens had. The Hurricane-Class drifted past disabled ships, its presence heavy but controlled. It did not finish them. It did not need to. The message had already been delivered. Around the system, alien commanders argued over retreat paths and surrender codes. Some still hoped reinforcements would arrive in time. They were wrong. Far beyond the Velair system, hyperspace ripples appeared. Alien reinforcements were on the way, drawn by panic signals sent before communications died. Fresh fleets, untouched by fear, still confident in numbers and ancient reputation. They had not seen the Hurricane-Class fire. They had not felt their systems fail in its shadow. The Terran ship detected them instantly. Sensors marked their arrival points and fleet size. The weapons officer reported calmly: multiple fleets incoming. Heavy composition. The captain did not turn. Expected, he replied. This was why the Hurricane-Class existed. Not to punish the weak, but to face the strong. The first fleet had been a demonstration. The next would be understanding. Alien survivors watched the Terran ship reposition itself, moving toward the incoming vectors. Some of them finally understood the truth and felt a deep, cold fear. This ship was not retreating. It was preparing. On the alien command station, emergency authority transferred from the Broken Council to military command. New leaders appeared on screens, faces hard and determined. They had not been there when the first shots were fired. Pride burned in their eyes. They would not surrender so easily. Orders went out to the arriving fleets. Full engagement. No hesitation. Overwhelmed the human ship before it could recharge. Ancient doctrines were pulled from archives. Swarm tactics. Sacrifice formations. Anything to bring the Terran ship down. The Hurricane-Class waited. Power flowed through its systems, quiet and steady. Its hull showed marks now, scars from earlier fire, but none of them mattered. The ship had endured far worse in testing. The captain finally spoke again, his voice calm as ever. "They will come angry," he said. "They will come proud." The crew listened. They knew the next moments would be recorded, studied, and remembered across the galaxy. "Hold position," the captain ordered. "Let them see us clearly." As the first alien reinforcements dropped out of hyperspace and locked onto the lone Terran battleship, laughter echoed through their channels. One ship. Just one. They did not know the history behind it. They did not know why humans built the Hurricane-Class. They were about to learn. The alien reinforcements arrived in waves, tearing out of hyperspace, with engines burning bright and weapons already armed. Their fleets were larger than the first, older, built by empires that had ruled star systems for centuries. Commanders spoke with confidence, mocking reports from the broken fleet still drifting nearby. They saw disabled ships and assumed failure came from poor leadership, not impossible power. To them, the lone Terran battleship waiting ahead looked like a mistake waiting to be corrected. Alien admirals opened wide channels, letting their voices echo across space. They laughed openly, calling the human ship foolish and slow. They spoke of ancient victories and numbers that could crush any enemy. The Hurricane-Class did not respond. It held position, dark and silent, letting the enemy finish speaking. Weapons across the alien fleets charged together. Thousands of targeting systems locked onto the Terran ship at once. Power levels climbed, filling space with heat and light. The admirals ordered a full strike, determined to erase the human ship before it could act again. The attack was massive. Energy beams crossed like burning lines. Missiles filled the void. Gravity weapons pulled at space itself. It was an attack meant to overwhelm planets, not ships. The Hurricane-Class disappeared behind light and force. Alien commanders smiled, certain the problem was solved. Then the sensors updated. The Terran ship was still there. Its shields flared now, not bright, but deep and heavy, absorbing the assault like stone in a storm. Armor layers shifted and adapted. Some weapons vanished before impact, torn apart by fields the aliens could not understand. Others struck and were spread harmlessly across the hull. The Hurricane-Class did not retreat. It moved forward. Confusion spread through the alien ranks. Orders overlapped. Engineers shouted about power loss and feedback. Ships closest to the Terran vessel reported systems failing without being hit. Target locks dropped. Navigation errors appeared. The human ship was not just defending. It was pressing down on the battlefield itself. Inside the Hurricane-Class, the bridge remained calm. Status reports came in steady and controlled. The weapons officer spoke quietly. Enemy confidence remains high. Fire intensity increasing. The captain nodded. "They are still mocking us," he said. The Terran ship advanced into the heart of the enemy formation. Alien ships pulled away to avoid collision, breaking their own attack lines. The Hurricane-Class passed between cruisers and carriers like a mountain moving through fog. Up close, alien crews could see the ship's scale and detail. It was larger than expected, denser, built without waste. Every line had purpose. An alien carrier attempted a close-range strike, launching waves of fighters. The small craft swarmed toward the Terran hull, weapons firing wildly. The Hurricane-Class responded with precise control. Defense systems activated in short pulses. Fighters lost power mid-flight and drifted harmlessly, intact but useless. No explosions. No chaos. Just silence. Fear finally replaced mockery. Alien commanders ordered retreats, then canceled them, unsure which choice would keep them alive. Pride had driven them forward. Survival now pulled them back. The fleets hesitated, trapped between orders and instinct. The Hurricane-Class stopped advancing. It hovered at the center of the broken formation, power building again, deeper than before. Space around it darkened, stars bending slightly as energy gathered. Sensors screamed warnings across every alien ship. This charge felt different, wider, heavier. The captain spoke calmly, opening a system-wide channel. "This ends now," he said. "Stand down." Some alien ships tried. They powered down weapons, hoping surrender would save them. Others refused, firing in desperation. Their attacks did nothing. The Terran ship ignored them. The Hurricane-class released its storm system. It was not a beam or an explosion. It was a controlled wave that spread across space, touching every ship in range. Shields collapsed instantly. Weapons went dark. Engines failed. Artificial gravity flickered. Entire fleets were silenced in seconds. Ships drifted, powerless, alive but defeated. Silence returned, heavier than before. Alien commanders stared at dead screens, unable to speak. Their proud fleets were floating wrecks without damage, without death, stripped of the ability to fight. This was not destruction. It was dominance. On the Terran bridge, the crew watched system stabilize. The weapons officer reported, "Storm system complete. All hostile fleets neutralized." The captain nodded once. "Record status. Prepare broadcast." Across the system, emergency lights flickered inside alien ships. Crews whispered in fear, realizing they were alive only because the humans allowed it. Stories they had heard about human weakness shattered in that moment. Humanity had not been weak. Humanity had been waiting. The captain opened the broadcast, his voice calm and clear. "You came laughing," he said. "You came confident. Remember this moment." The message ended. The Hurricane-class powered down its weapons and drifted silently among the disabled fleets. Mockery had turned into fear. Fear had turned into understanding. And the galaxy had learned that when humans finally answered laughter, they did not shout. The silence after the storm was heavy and unreal, as if space itself needed time to recover. Thousands of alien ships drifted without power, their lights dim, their weapons silent. No explosions marked their defeat. No debris filled the void. The Hurricane-class battleship remained at the center of it all, calm and unmoving, like the eye of a perfect storm. For the first time in centuries, entire alien fleets had been defeated without a single ship being destroyed. Inside the disabled vessels, confusion turned into fear. Crews tried emergency restarts. Engineers rerouted power again and again. Nothing responded. Systems were not damaged. They were locked. Whatever the Terran ship had done, it had reached into their technology and taken control without touching it. This terrified them more than fire ever could. Alien command channels filled with desperate calls, but most signals died before reaching anyone. The storm system had not only silenced weapons, it had muted the battlefield. Only short-range, internal communications worked. Each ship was alone, drifting, surrounded by enemies it could no longer see clearly. On the Hurricane-class bridge, reports flowed in calmly. All enemy vessels remained disabled, the systems officer said. No hostile activity detected. The captain nodded. "Maintain observation," he replied. The Terran crew did not celebrate. They had trained for this outcome. Victory was not an emotion. It was a result. Their focus remained sharp, watching for any unexpected movement or attempt at sabotage. Far beyond the Velair system, long-range sensors across the galaxy began to react. Emergency beacons from alien ships reached distant empires before shutting down. Fragmented images and incomplete data spread fast. A single Terran battleship. Entire fleets disabled. No visible damage. Panic traveled faster than truth. Some alien governments dismissed the reports as exaggeration. Others believed them and froze in fear. Ancient treaties were reviewed. Defensive lines were strengthened. Borders closed. Humanity's name appeared in high-level discussions for the first time in years. Back in the Velair system, the Hurricane-class slowly began moving through the field of powerless ships. Its sensors scanned each one, identifying command vessels, carriers, and troop transports. It did not fire. It did not threaten. Its presence alone kept crews frozen at their stations. Inside one alien command ship, the acting admiral stared at the Terran battleship drifting past. He felt small. His people had ruled sectors of space for generations. Now, they were helpless, without even understanding how. He realized then that this battle was never meant to be won by force. It was meant to be witnessed. The Hurricane-class completed its scan and repositioned near the center of the system. Power began to flow again, not into weapons, but into communications. The captain turned slightly. "Prepare broadcast. Galaxy-wide," he ordered. The crew worked quickly, routing signals through ancient relay nodes and emergency channels still untouched by the storm. The message would not be easy to block. Humans had planned for that too. When the broadcast activated, it carried no music, no symbols of threat, just a human voice, calm and steady, speaking in simple terms. "This is a Terran defense vessel," the captain said. "You have witnessed a demonstration. No territory has been taken. No lives have been ended. This was not an invasion." Across distant worlds, leaders and analysts listened in silence. The message continued. "Humanity does not seek war, but we will no longer accept mockery, betrayal, or attacks disguised as balance. This ship exists, so we do not need fleets." The words were clear. They were not a demand. They were a boundary. The broadcast ended, leaving space quiet again. In the Velair system, alien crews waited, unsure what would happen next. Some expected destruction. Others hoped for mercy. The Hurricane-class did neither. It held position. Then, one by one, alien ships began to receive limited control back. Life support stabilized. Internal systems reactivated. Weapons and engines remained locked. A message appeared on every surviving console, written in clear, basic language. "Do not engage. Do not follow. Observe and remember." Fear deepened. This was not forgiveness. It was warning. On the Terran bridge, the captain watched the slow recovery of enemy life systems. "They will talk," he said quietly. "They will argue. They will fear." The crew understood. Stories would spread. Some would call this tyranny. Others would call it protection. Humanity had accepted that long ago. As the Hurricane-class prepared to depart, sensors detected a new presence. Far at the edge of the system, a single signal appeared, old and powerful. Its energy signature was different from anything seen before. Ancient. Watching. The system's officer frowned. Unknown contact. Not part of the engaged fleets. The captain looked at the display. He did not show surprise. "They were always watching," he said. The signal did not move closer. It simply observed, silent and patient. An ancient power that had ruled long before humans reached the stars. It had seen the storm. It had understood the message. The Hurricane-class turned slowly toward open space, its mission complete for now. Behind it, disabled fleets floated in quiet fear. Ahead of it, the galaxy waited, no longer laughing, no longer certain. The storm had been unleashed, and its echo was just beginning. The Hurricane-class battleship did not leave the Velair system immediately. It held position near the primary star, silent and watchful, as alien fleets slowly stabilized their internal systems. Engines remained locked. Weapons stayed dark. The message was clear without words. The battle was over, but the lesson was still unfolding. Across the galaxy, the broadcast began to spread. Recordings were copied, translated, and replayed in council halls and military academies. Analysts paused the footage again and again, studying the Terran ship's behavior. No rage, no celebration, just control. For many, that calm was more frightening than open violence. Human space remained quiet. No fleets surged forward. No borders expanded. This confused alien leaders even more. If humans had this power, why hide it for so long? The answer began to form in whispered discussions. Humans did not want to rule. They wanted to be left alone. Inside the Hurricane-class, the bridge lights dimmed slightly as the ship shifted to low alert status. The crew stayed at their stations. Victory did not mean rest. Not yet. The captain watched incoming data streams from distant systems. Reactions were already visible. Trade routes paused. Patrols pulled back. Diplomatic channels lit up, all requesting one thing: understanding. The communications officer spoke. Multiple incoming messages. Councils. Military commands. Independent systems. The captain nodded. "Hold them," he said. "They will listen better when they wait." Among the drifting alien ships in Velair, fear slowly changed shape. At first it was raw panic. Now it became something else. Respect. Crews whispered about the Terran ship, moving among them like a judge. They replayed sensor data, trying to understand how one vessel had undone fleets built over centuries. On a distant ancient world, far older than most empires, silent observers finished their analysis. Their kind had shaped wars before humans had discovered fire. They had watched the galaxy rise and fall in cycles. The Hurricane-Class disrupted those patterns. It was not conquest. It was correction, and that unsettled them. Back in Velair, the captain ordered another broadcast. This time, it was directed at the disabled fleets still present. The channel opened without resistance. His voice carried calmly through damaged speakers. "You will regain full control once we depart," he said. "You will report what you saw. You will not exaggerate." Alien officers listened, stunned. He continued, "If your reports become lies, this will happen again." The message ended. The Hurricane-Class did not wait for responses. It slowly turned away from the fleets and began moving toward open space. As it did, engines on the alien ships unlocked one by one. Weapons stayed offline, but navigation returned. Relief washed through crews, mixed with deep humiliation. As the Terran ship moved farther away, something changed. No one fired. No one followed. Even the proudest commanders understood now. Attacking would mean extinction, not defeat. In human space, leaders watched the data arrive. The Terran Defense Council remained silent. This had never been about approval. The Hurricane-Class operated under old authority, written after humanity's last great betrayal. Act only when necessary. End conflict fast. Leave proof behind. The captain received a secure message from Earth. 3 words appeared on his display. Message received. Proceed. No praise. No orders. Just confirmation. Humanity trusted him to finish this correctly. As the Hurricane-Class entered the edge of the system, the ancient signal from earlier activated. A massive structure revealed itself briefly, far beyond normal sensor range. It did not approach. It sent a single compressed data burst, ancient and careful. The systems officer decoded it slowly. "It is a request," he said. "For what?" the captain asked. "Dialogue," the officer replied. The captain considered this. The ancient powers had never requested dialogue before. They commanded or destroyed. This alone proved the storm had reached farther than expected. "Record it," the captain said. "We will answer later." The signal faded. The Hurricane-Class jumped to hyperspace, leaving Velair behind. As space closed around the ship, the system exhaled. Fleets dispersed. Councils collapsed. Stories spread. Humanity was no longer a rumor or a memory. It was a boundary. Across the galaxy, military doctrines were rewritten overnight. Old strategies were abandoned. New ones formed around a single idea. Do not provoke humans. On distant worlds, children would one day learn about the day laughter ended. About a ship that did not chase enemies or claim territory. A ship that spoke once and was obeyed. Inside hyperspace, the Hurricane-Class moved silently. The captain finally allowed himself to sit. He looked at the stars, stretching past the viewport. "They will test us again," he said softly. The first officer nodded. "They always do." The captain closed his eyes for a moment. "Then we will remind them." The message to the galaxy had been delivered. Now, the galaxy had to decide whether it would listen. The ancient signal did not fade into history as the Hurricane-Class traveled through hyperspace. It was recorded, analyzed, and quietly discussed across human command circles. The request for dialogue had not been ignored, but it had not been rushed either. Humanity had learned that ancient powers spoke slowly and acted suddenly. Caution mattered. The Hurricane-Class exited hyperspace near the edge of a dead system, a place with no colonies and no trade routes. Stars here were old and dim, chosen long ago as neutral ground by forces that did not trust each other. The ancient signal returned almost instantly, stronger now, more focused. Something vast waited in the dark. From the shadow of a broken planet, an enormous structure emerged. It was not a ship in the way humans understood ships. It was a moving city of metal and energy, older than most civilizations. Its surface carried scars from wars no one remembered. It did not raise weapons. It did not flee. It simply existed, confident in its age and power. On the Terran bridge, Sensors struggled to map it. Energy readings shifted without pattern. Gravity fields bent oddly around it. The crew felt the weight of history pressing against them. Still, no one panicked. The Hurricane class held position. A communication channel opened, layered and complex. When it translated, the voice that emerged was calm, slow, and distant. "Young species," it said, "you disrupt balance." The captain listened without interrupting. "For ages," the voice continued, "we have guided conflict, controlled growth, prevented domination. Your weapon threatens that order." The captain finally spoke. "Your order allowed betrayal," he replied simply. There was a pause. The Ancient Ones were not used to being answered so directly. "Betrayal maintains motion," the voice said. "Fear drives progress." "Fear drives resistance," the captain replied. "Not peace." Silence followed. Then the ancient structure shifted. Energy patterns changed. Sensors on the Hurricane class lit up with warnings. The Ancient Ones had made their decision. Without further words, a field expanded outward from the structure. Space twisted violently. Human systems strained as unknown forces pressed against them, probing, testing, trying to pull the Hurricane class apart at a fundamental level. The crew reacted instantly. Defense layers activated. The ship's hull absorbed the pressure, redirecting force through its internal systems. Alarms sounded, but only briefly. The Hurricane class held. The ancient voice returned, colder now. "You will stand down," it said, "or be unmade." The captain did not raise his voice. "You misjudged us," he said. The Hurricane class responded, not with its storm system, but with something more focused. A precision field expanded around the Terran ship, stabilizing space itself. The ancient attack lost coherence, sliding harmlessly away. For the first time in ages, the ancient structure encountered resistance it could not simply overpower. The Ancient Ones reacted with anger. Energy surged. Secondary systems activated. This time, they aimed to crush the human ship through sheer scale. The Hurricane class shifted modes. Deep within its hull, systems that had never been used outside simulations came online. Power flowed not outward, but inward, reinforcing reality around the ship. The crew felt the pressure ease. Then the captain gave the order. "Demonstrate," he said. The Terran ship released a narrow, controlled pulse toward the ancient structure. It did not explode. It did not burn. It passed through layers of shielding and touched the core systems directly. Ancient energy grids flickered. Massive sections of the structure went dark. The ancient voice cut off mid-signal. Silence followed, heavy and shocked. When the voice returned, it was different. Slower. Careful. "You possess weapons beyond your era," it said. "We built them because of your era," the captain replied. The ancient structure ceased its attack. Systems stabilized at reduced output. It did not retreat, but it no longer pressed forward. For the first time in countless cycles, the Ancient Ones were forced to reassess. "You act without permission," the voice said. "We act without chains," the captain answered. The Ancient Ones had believed humanity was another rising species to be guided, limited, and controlled. They had believed age guaranteed superiority. That belief had just cracked. The structure transmitted new data, not a command, but an analysis. "Your kind destabilizes long-term equilibrium." "Then your equilibrium was fragile," the captain replied. The Ancient Ones fell silent again. This time, it was not anger. It was thought. They had made a mistake. They had tested the Hurricane class, the way they tested everyone else. And they had failed. The massive structure slowly pulled back, retreating into the shadow of the dead planet. It did not flee in panic. It withdrew with dignity, carrying a new understanding. The Hurricane class did not pursue. It powered down its advanced systems and held position, watching until the ancient presence faded completely. On the Terran bridge, the crew exhaled together, not in relief, but in recognition. The galaxy's oldest powers had been challenged and survived, but changed. The captain looked at the stars. "They will not forget this," he said. "No," the first officer replied. "They will adapt." The captain nodded. "So will we." The Ancient Ones had made a mistake. They had assumed humanity needed guidance. Now they knew humanity had outgrown it. The aftermath of the Hurricane-class demonstrations rippled across the galaxy faster than any fleet could travel. News of alien fleets neutralized without destruction, of an ancient power challenged and forced to retreat, spread like fire through council halls, military academies, and trade hubs. Analysts tried to measure what had happened, but the numbers failed to tell the story. Ships were alive, entire fleets intact, yet the balance of power had shifted in an instant. Fear had replaced confidence. Pride had been shattered. Humanity was no longer underestimated. In the Velair system, alien commanders worked frantically to restore order. Fleets that had been disabled slowly regained power, but hesitation dominated their actions. Communication channels that once buzzed with confident commands now echoed with questions and uncertainty. Officers argued over what had gone wrong, over whether retreat was wise, over whether the humans would strike again. Each decision was delayed by fear. Every second lost compounded their uncertainty. The surviving flagship crews replayed sensor logs endlessly, trying to find a flaw, a mistake, something to exploit. They found nothing. The Hurricane-class had moved with precision, striking when it was necessary, stopping when it was enough, and leaving nothing to chance. No prideful attack had been punished. No empire had been humiliated for the sake of vengeance. It was a demonstration of calculated power, controlled, unstoppable, yet restrained. Across distant systems, human transmissions carried warnings and observations. The galaxy learned quickly that one ship could challenge entire fleets. That ship, the Hurricane-class, had rewritten what others believed possible. For decades, alien civilizations had relied on numbers and intimidation. That logic no longer applied. Calculated precision, advanced technology, and calm human leadership proved superior. Generals and council leaders began reassessing every assumption they had made about humans. At Velair Prime, the council convened emergency meetings. The defeat of their fleets and the retreat of the ancient structure forced them to question treaties, alliances, and long-held strategies. Some factions called for retaliation, sending urgent messages across space. Others urged caution, arguing that human power was beyond comprehension. The debates lasted hours, yet no decision was made. Time had already slipped away. Humanity had demonstrated patience and restraint. The galaxy was paying the price for underestimating them. Meanwhile, the Hurricane-class moved quietly through space, scanning systems for potential threats, assessing alien fleet movements, and ensuring no sudden attacks would go unnoticed. The captain and crew remained calm. Victory was not celebrated here. It was noted, recorded, and prepared for the next steps. Every sensor reading, every report from the distant broadcasts, confirmed one fact: the galaxy had changed. Alien empires far from Velair began to react. Military leaders halted routine drills. Fleets pulled back from border systems. Diplomatic communications increased, but many messages carried tones of caution and veiled fear. Trade routes slowed. Alliances were reconsidered. The shadow of one Terran battleship loomed over the entire galaxy. It was not an occupation. It was a presence that forced respect. Fear, respect, and caution intertwined into a new understanding. Humanity was no longer a species to be tested. They were a force to be reckoned with. Back on the Hurricane-class, the captain monitored every response. Reports indicate hesitation in all major fleets, he said calmly. The lesson is sinking in. The first officer nodded. They know now that numbers alone do not win. Let them understand fully, the captain replied. Fear without understanding is dangerous. They must see reason, not just power. The crew worked silently, adjusting sensors, analyzing alien communications, and preparing for further engagement if necessary. They knew that the galaxy would react unpredictably. Every empire, every fleet, would now move differently. One misstep from a human fleet could prevent war or provoke it. They had to be precise. They had to remain calm. Far from Velair, the ancient powers convened. The structure that had challenged the Hurricane-class had returned to its home system, consulting others like it. These were civilizations that had shaped wars for millennia. They had never faced an adversary like humanity. They realized the implications. One species could disrupt the established order. They had underestimated patience, restraint, and controlled power. They had assumed their history guaranteed obedience or fear. They had been wrong. Across the galaxy, alien councils debated how to respond. Some argued for open war, gathering fleets to crush humanity before more ships could be built. Others suggested diplomacy, reasoning that confrontation would be suicidal. No consensus emerged. The more they discussed, the more they realized how little they understood. Humanity had acted with strategy, precision, and foresight beyond anything the galaxy had seen. Meanwhile, transmissions from disabled fleets and council reports described the Hurricane-Class calm, methodical behavior. Crews spoke of watching without fear, striking without malice, and moving with purpose. The description spread fear not only because of the ship's power, but because of the humans themselves. Humans were not emotional, not chaotic, and not irrational. They were decisive, calculated, and controlled. That combination was terrifying to civilizations used to aggressive but impulsive adversaries. On the Terran Battleship, the captain reviewed reports of distant fleets, changing course or hesitating mid-mission. Every hesitation was a confirmation. The galaxy had paid the price for underestimating humanity. The commander spoke quietly to the crew. "We did not destroy them. We did not conquer them. We merely showed the cost of testing us." The first officer responded, "They will remember." "More than remember," the captain said. "They will adapt." And so, across the stars, the galaxy began to shift. Fleets reorganized, treaties were rewritten, and leaders reconsidered everything they thought they knew. Fear spread, but it was tempered by curiosity and caution. Humanity had shown its strength without starting an endless war. One ship had done what many fleets could not. It had rewritten assumptions, forced humility, and demanded respect. The Hurricane-class moved deeper into open space, scanning for threats, observing responses, and maintaining vigilance. Every report confirmed one truth: the galaxy had paid the price for dismissing humanity. They had underestimated not just the technology of the Terrans, but their patience, their strategy, and their understanding of balance. One lesson had been delivered. The full consequences were still unfolding, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy had changed forever. Systems that had once considered humanity weak now paused at every transmission, every movement, every patrol. Reports from distant empires described hesitation, confusion, and disbelief. The Hurricane-class had moved through fleets, disabled them without destruction, and left an echo of fear stronger than any weapon ever fired. Humanity had not conquered. It had demonstrated. It had shown what it meant to be patient, precise, and unstoppable. The galaxy could no longer laugh. The galaxy could no longer assume weakness. Inside the Hurricane-class, the bridge crew moved with calm efficiency. Sensors scanned distant systems. Communications channels monitored fleet movements. Every report of alien hesitation was logged, analyzed, and stored. The captain stood at the viewport, staring into the starfield ahead. There were no celebrations, no triumphal messages, only awareness. Humanity had achieved something greater than war. It had created understanding through action. Far from the Velair system, alien fleets reorganized. Officers reviewed sensor logs, trying to grasp what had happened. Entire fleets had been rendered powerless, without a single explosion. Ancient powers had been challenged, and they had retreated, silent and calculating. Diplomats scrambled to interpret Terran intentions, their messages polite, but edged with fear. Humanity did not respond immediately. There was no gloating, no demands. The lesson had been delivered, and it was clear. One ship, calm and precise, could shape the galaxy's perception more than any fleet. The Terran captain finally spoke. "They will test us again," he said quietly. The first officer nodded. "They always do. But they will think twice now." "Yes," the captain replied. "Fear is useful, but only when it teaches. We do not need destruction to make them understand." Throughout human-controlled space, reports from colonies and patrols confirmed the change. Systems previously at the edge of conflict now paused before aggression. Communications that had once been ignored were considered carefully. Humanity had shifted the balance not by conquest, but by restraint. The galaxy was learning that strength could be calm, patient, and controlled. The captain reviewed incoming data from ancient sensors left dormant by civilizations that predated humans. The structures that had once assumed dominance had observed the Hurricane-class movements. They had miscalculated. Their analysis indicated that humans were not merely advanced in technology, but advanced in strategy and foresight. One battleship had altered perceptions across millennia of galactic order. The crew worked silently as hyperspace corridors stretched ahead. Each member understood the importance of their vigilance. This was not about glory. It was about ensuring the galaxy understood a simple truth. Humanity would not be underestimated again. Alien forces would learn to respect, not through fear of death, but through respect for precision, control, and patience. Meanwhile, the galaxy itself began reacting in subtle ways. Councils debated new treaties. Military strategies were rewritten to account for the possibility of a single Terran ship appearing anywhere. Fleets that had once relied on numbers began to consider quality, technology, and decision-making. Ancient powers withdrew from routine influence, observing quietly rather than commanding openly. Humanity had redefined the rules of engagement without firing a salvo of unnecessary destruction. On board the Hurricane-class, the captain considered the next steps. Patrols would continue. Observations would continue. The galaxy had learned a lesson, but understanding was not universal. Humanity had shown what was possible, but history warned that new challenges would emerge. "We prepare for the next," he said simply. "We act only when necessary. Let them remember what patience looks like." The crew nodded, each aware of their role in this silent triumph. Sensors scanned hyperspace for anomalies. Communications monitored known fleets. Navigation plotted courses that could intercept potential threats or maintain observation without provoking conflict. Every system operated with purpose, not haste. Every movement reinforced the quiet authority humanity now commanded. In distant empires, alien analysts continued to study the events in Velair and beyond. Entire civilizations debated the implications of one Terran battleship moving through space, neutralizing fleets without destruction. History lessons were rewritten. Stories circulated of humans who did not fight aggressively, yet changed the balance of power entirely. The galaxy was paying attention now. Every species understood that humanity was not weak, not reckless, and not predictable. They were patient, prepared, and precise. As the Hurricane-class glided through the edge of another system, the ancient presence that had observed them earlier sent no new signals. Its retreat had been measured, cautious. Humanity had proven that even the oldest powers could not act without consideration. Respect, not fear, had been earned. The galaxy had been reminded that misjudging humanity carried consequences that could not be ignored. The captain finally allowed himself a moment of reflection. "They mocked us once," he said softly. "They laughed. They tested. They assumed weakness. They will not forget," the first officer replied. "No," the captain said, staring into the stars. "And they will think twice before testing again. That is enough for now." The Hurricane-class continued its silent patrol, a calm shadow moving through the galaxy. Alien fleets adjusted course. Councils debated, planners reconsidered, and historians recorded the day humanity's restraint became a weapon. One battleship, with a crew that understood patience, strategy, and control, had changed the perception of an entire galaxy. In the end, no world burned. No species was annihilated. Yet every empire understood the same truth. Humanity had arrived, and underestimating them came at a cost far greater than any weapon could measure. One ship, calm and precise, had rewritten the rules of engagement. The galaxy would remember, and humanity would continue to watch, to wait, and to act only when necessary.